This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerate it. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words. God bless the United States.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation, everybody, welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, and we've got a lot of stories. We're going to have some fun here. First, we're going to talk about, of course, absolute disaster. We're going to be talking about how bad people are off when it comes to coronavirus and being behind on their bills. So now this comes in, of course, in the context of people who are waiting for Congress to do something about it, for something to do like, you know, for people to do something like when it comes to rent relief or when it comes to stimulus, unemployment benefits, things like that. And so we're going to get into the details about that. We're also going to have some fun, though. Donald Trump decides to leave somebody hanging during a very awkward interview. Awkward ceremony. Ivanka and Jared will soon be leaving New York. Or, I'm sorry, not New York, Washington. And so where are they going to go? Back to the bunker. Interesting. All right, so anyway, there's that. We have the Arizona Republicans, the official GOP party, wanting you to die for Trump. Oh, that's wonderful. And then we've got an update about Rebecca Jones. Now, who is that? That's a COVID-19 whistleblower in Florida. She just got raided by the police. So, holy crap. That's a hell of a story. So we're going to talk about that, why that happened, and all that stuff on the show today. So if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out greatly, as always. Consider becoming a patron, of course, and all that stuff. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. So, just I love reading your comments. So, thank you very much for the compliments. All right. Anyway, so let's do it. I guess, actually, you know what? Before I go there, I do want to let you guys know that I will not be able to be live tomorrow. So I have some things that I have to travel for. Unfortunately, I don't want to have to not be here, but I'm not going to be able to make it tomorrow with all the stuff that I have in my schedule. Unfortunately, it was only something that I could do on a weekday. And so that sucks. But I know I'm really sorry about how the schedule has just been turning out this month. It feels like I've been missing way too much time, and I do apologize for that. But unfortunately, what am I going to do? But on Thursday, we will have something special for you. I will be joined by a special guest host, which will be a lot of fun. The Surfs will be joining me. So that's going to be fun. I think you'll enjoy that. I certainly am looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go after, of course, Republican ghouls. And also, probably make fun of the Democrats a little bit. So it is what it is. I know y'all have been asking me for game streams. Again, my schedule has been really stupid, really effed up, and so I'm working on doing the best that I can, y'all. So I appreciate the you guys being cool with it and stuff. So I do appreciate that. It's believe me, it's not personal time. I am actually doing something that I have to do. And it's just I'll be traveling in order to do so. Yes, Chris, you're familiar. No, that's gonna be fun. I believe it's I believe I'll be speaking with Lance from the Surfs. So they're doing pretty good on both YouTube and on Twitch. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So anyway, let's do it. Let's get into coronavirus. All right. While Congress is currently negotiating a stimulus package that is so far looking to be a little too small and a little too ineffective, bad things are coming for millions of Americans who are struggling without help in the middle of the coronavirus. So now this is according to a study by the Moody's Analytics, and they note that approximately 12 million renters are expected to owe an average of $5,850 in back rent and utilities after the new year. So now that's a lot of money for, renters. Okay, that's a lot of money for anybody. And it's, of course, because people right now, they can't work. There are people on lockdowns and there's coronavirus that have shut down small businesses everywhere. And so the economy is in recession. There's a depression. And so we're not doing well. And so now when you look at how the coronavirus stimulus package is shaping up, well, it doesn't look like those people are going to get a whole lot of help. So now I've talked about the bipartisan stimulus bill. It's $908 billion. No stimulus checks, 2.0. $300 in weekly unemployment benefits. It's additional. And corporate welfare, corporate liability specifically. A very small amount of money for rent assistance. I'll get into the details about that later. But so far, it's not really going to help a whole lot. Now, I am seeing some updates. Washington Post, unfortunately, of course, they're gated. And what I mean by that is, of course, you have to be a subscriber to be. And this is what always frustrates me. If you just allow me to go on this little tangent here for a second, I've noticed that a lot of liberal Democratic news sites specifically are always gated with like, oh, you got to pay like $3.99 a month to access this news about what's going on. Well, why would you do that? Why would people who are working 2 or 3 jobs to get by do that when they could just go to Fox News for free? And that's the thing. That's how they get people. Like, pay for news. What are you guys talking about? And I understand that it does take money to run like a news organization. And maybe if the New York Times did more, I don't know, investigative reporting, some of which they actually do, and they do a good job at it, they could do more on climate reporting. They could do more reporting on corruption and things like that. Instead of closing down their green newsrooms and charge people to go and read news about the coronavirus stimulus, something that affects their lives. And so that gives conservatives who are bankrolled by billionaires a huge, huge, huge advantage, because then they can lure people in with so-called straight news. And then, then they can hit you with the lies. They can hit you with the lies. So now, anyway, that said, we're in the middle of coronavirus. A gigantic spike, one of the biggest spikes that we've seen so far. And with very, very little help coming out of Congress, well, as one Moody's analyst puts it, it's a complete and absolute disaster. More details. Quote, the financial firm reported that $70 billion could be owed to landlords in January after a federal moratorium on evictions put in place in September by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the absence of any action from the Republican-led Senate aimed at helping working people expires on December 31st. That, again, I gave you some details about that, the package that they're discussing right now. There are actually two different pieces of legislation. There is the McConnell skinny bill that just gives basically nothing to working people. It only extends unemployment for an additional month with no extra federal benefits and still gives corporate liability protection, by the way. And then there's the quote-unquote compromise bill, which again is filled with corporate liability, no stimulus checks, but an additional $300 in unemployment benefits that's extended for a short period of time. And so you can understand that it just sucks what we have lined up. And so it's not going to be a whole lot of help, okay? For example, the package currently includes a $300 weekly payment, which would be offered only from January to April. Like I said, short time. No retroactive payments for families who owe rent and other payments from recent months. So if you've had a lot of bills that have stacked up, well, sorry. But I guess they could get together to give the Pentagon $750 billion. No problem with that. Nope. Priorities. Now, that same package includes $25 billion for rental assistance. Now, I just said earlier, people owe $70 billion in back rent and utilities. And they're like, oh man, boy, we feel bad about that. Here's $25 billion. Take it or leave it. Wow. That is only about half of what the House Democrats' HEROES Act includes for low-income renters. So even the HEROES Act would not be enough. And of course, Mitch McConnell has absolutely nothing for rental assistance. So meaning that if any of these proposals pass, well, for many families, it's too little, it's too late. Maybe if there had been a retroactive stimulus, and this is interesting. So now the White House, as I mentioned, they've been pushing to add stimulus, an additional stimulus check to the middle of the road quote unquote compromise proposal. Again, this is people from the White House. Know what they want to add? An additional $600 in stimulus. So a stimulus check for $600 per person. Wow, somehow it got cut in half. Now, what's interesting is that President Trump, he's like, no, I want $2,000. So that was his, that's the proposal that he was trying to push. $2,000 versus the rest of the White House saying, no, well, it's six. Oh, great. So there you go. But hey, again, at least corporations will get their immunity regardless of what passes. Yeah, there's a great comment here that I'm reading. I think from Wizard of Weed says, I think Congress thinks that once the vaccine arrives, it will instantly reset everything back to normal, except that it won't. And look, that person correctly points out, and I have the best audience in the world. Y'all are amazing. Absolutely correct. Absolutely right. So many businesses, small businesses have shut down. They're not coming back. They're not going to rehire. We are going to be in a recession for some time, meaning we need massive government investment in order to get back from this. And right now, it's looking like 2008 again, where it's just not enough and massively weighted towards corporations. It's disgusting. Worse now, landlords know that no help is coming for their tenants, and so what are they doing? Well, they're already filing eviction paperwork. And of course, I've talked about how others have already found creative ways to get around the eviction moratoriums to try to kick people out into the streets. And again, with a lot of businesses that are closed or are closing down as a result of the spikes, even if it's, just temporarily, and congressional action, these people, they're essentially screwed. And that, of course, means the economy as a whole is also screwed. And that's unfortunately exactly what Mitch McConnell wants. Mitch McConnell wants to play politics, and that's what he does. Mitch McConnell is the evil genius that plays the long game. Why do you think he's been in power for so long? Because he knows how to do it. He knows how to leverage power, and at the same time, he doesn't give a damn about the American people. And so he's playing politics. He's going to create a recession, or continue our recession, I should say, so that Republicans, and then blame Democrats for it, obviously, so that the Republicans can take back the House and if like whatever Senate seats come up in the midterms, okay, take whatever branch of government they can during the midterms, and then the White House in 2024 by blaming Democrats for the terrible economy that he played a part in creating. Now, that's not to say the Democrats haven't already also bungled this massively. Nancy Pelosi says, this bipartisan bill is such a good bill. That $908 billion compromise, I think is a great bill. Why doesn't she have something? They say that this is a targeted bill, right? Why doesn't Nancy Pelosi push through a bill in the House, right, that is just for $2,000 UBI? Nothing else, $2,000, right? Or hell, you could even go for $1,200. I mean, at some point, just do something, right? Push that through and then say, Mitch McConnell, why are you stopping stimulus? Again, stimulus payments, over 3/4 of Americans polled favor these stimulus checks. And it's not just because, free money, right? And of course, that's what the conservative reaction. Oh, well, of course, they just want free money. No, in reality, it's because millions of Americans need it. They need it. But like I said, even if it's $1,200, if it's not monthly and retroactive, it's not going to make a dent. We need a massive amount of investment. Now, the reaction to this, and I love this. This is according to, again, it's from the Post. Mark Wolf, executive director of the National Energy Assistance Directors Association, said, quote, "This is like a Charles Dickens novel. It's an evolving story and how people at the bottom are suffering." And well, suffer they will. They're going to keep on suffering as a result of corporate-controlled leadership. I hate to break it to you, but I doubt Joe Biden and the rest of the Democrats, if they were in power, would really do a whole lot to begin with either. In fact, I want to go to a video here of what Joe Biden had basically said about aid to the American people. Take a look.
I used to say, you've heard me say it before, Joey, I don't expect the government to solve my problems, but I expect them at least to understand my problems. The folks I'm talking about, the folks out there aren't looking for a handout. They just need help. They're in trouble through no fault of their own. Nothing they did caused them to have hours cut or lose their job or drop out of the market. What they need us to understand.
Understand? That's what we want. We just want you to understand. No, we want our money. Where's our money, bitch? That's what I'm saying. It's not a handout. And God damn it, Joe Biden, for using that Republican framing. This is our tax money that we pay in. And it shouldn't be going to large corporations. It shouldn't be going. I forget there's that football player that got a paycheck protection program money and then bought a fucking yacht with it. Okay? Or like a car. I don't remember what he bought. Okay? All I know is that it was an outrageous amount of taxpayer money through that program. And he went and he bought something personal for it. Where's our money? We need that money. Regular people need that money. And so you want to talk about handouts. We're doing corporate welfare in the middle of this. Okay, we're doing corporate welfare. The CARES Act was filled to the brim, stuffed full of corporate welfare. And then, of course, we get the scraps that are left over. And that's our money. Our money. We pay into taxes so that when something like this, a pandemic happens,
tighten up my meat.
The government can say, oh, we have the resources. Let's redistribute your tax money to the places that it's needed the most. And in this case, it is needed the most by regular people. Regular people, when regular people have money, they spend that money and it protects local businesses. And I understand that there's also small business loans that need to be made as well to protect small businesses. And we're not doing that because you saw with such limited oversight of the CARES Act that a lot of this Paycheck Protection Program money went to big corporations, went to big businesses, and went to people that shouldn't have had it, who already have enough money to survive a pandemic. Because calling this a stimulus, by the way, is not the right thing to say. This is not a stimulus. This is survival money. You know what a stimulus is? A stimulus is supposed to stimulate the economy by allowing people to have extra additional purchasing power to go out and buy a big screen, to go out and buy something nice, to something new, to go and well, if it wasn't a pandemic, to go out to the restaurants, to go out to movies. That's stimulus. That stimulates the local economy, and that's good, and that feeds into the virtuous cycle of economics. But what you have here instead is a pandemic where people need survival money, and we're not getting it. How can we can't even survive, much less stimulate the local economy. And they expect everything to go back to normal as soon as the pandemic is over. No, just because we have a vaccine doesn't mean that we're not in store for a gigantically long recovery period where many, many millions of people are going to suffer and are already suffering now. It's just disgusting. And look, I know a lot of this is the fault of the Republicans, Mitch McConnell, sure. But here's the thing. Biden, now that Biden has won, there's a lot of Democrats that are basically saying, hey, we're not really too worried about doing stimulus checks. I mean, we'll do it. I mean, it was in some of our other bills, but now, I mean, we got Biden and we got the vaccine, so we're not so worried about it, okay? There's no longer a reason for them to help poor people. And, they look at that and say, well, we don't have to do better than Trump now. Because Trump is actually, and I understand that the only reason Donald Trump was pushing for a higher stimulus check, so he could put his name on it and be like, look at me, I gave you money, right? Yeah, it's 100% like self-interested, self-motivated. We know that. We totally understand it. I don't give a fuck at this point. Go ahead and put your fucking name on it. That's fine. As long as that money gets out to the people, as long as it spends, that's all that really matters. And it sucks to see the Democrats aren't even willing. Again, $600? $600, $1,200? Trump says, why not 2,000? You can't do better than Donald Trump. I understand now that he lost, it doesn't matter anymore, right? And so they're like, well, we don't have to appeal to anybody to win. So now we can just do corporate liability, which is in all of these pieces of legislation, by the way. And then barely give anyone anything. It's again, disgusting. Disgusting. When you have the majority of Americans saying, yes, let's do a stimulus check because we need it. It's politically a winner. And Pelosi says, nope, we don't need to do that. We're fine. Here's the thing. Enough people are not going to be vaccinated until at least the spring of 2021 to even start returning to normal. And even after that, as I said, it's going to be a long road to recovery. Okay. And I can tell you what, we cannot take much more of this, what is happening right now. Even if the Senate goes blue with those 2 special elections, doesn't matter. That's not going to mean that we're going to be able to push whatever we want through. No, because we're still going to have the corporate Democrats. We're still going to have these mushy moderates like Joe Manchin. And we're still not going to be able to have enough of a progressive presence inside of Congress to push the things that we need. So it's a disaster. And as usual, we've got one party that actively wants to screw the poor and another party who just basically lets them. With the exception, of course, of Bernie Sanders, who says, you know what, no, I'm not going to pass anything unless we get something in there for regular people, which is what he did with the CARES Act. And I appreciate that because it feels like he's one of the few only people that are fighting for the right thing. And we don't have enough of them yet. Whereas the rest of the party is just spouting platitudes. And I know maybe I sound a little too cynical, but I think we're in for a great deal of hurt here, and will be for some time. And that's just the sad truth of it. Oh, come on, now don't hate on Bernie. He is a kindly sock dem. Which is a lot better than the rest of the Democratic Party. Moving on. All right.
Tighten up my meat.
We're just gonna get to some Trump here. And by the way, thank you, John's Venn diagram of desire over on Twitch for the sub. No, Weary, I'm totally here with you. I don't think Bernie's a fraud. He just got rolled. Yeah, it's basically. I mean, what power do we have at this point? We don't have a lot. Progressives, we're and again, I say progressive because comparative to the rest of our system, Bernie Sanders, a moderate sock dem, is more progressive than the rest of the government in the country. And so there's that framing here. We are so far to the right on that scale. It's frustrating, and that's I understand why you would feel like it's like, hey, screw them all, they're all terrible. Because when you look at it, our government absolutely is terrible. All right. Anyway, let's go. Let's go play. You can't be effective as as only one person. I don't want to get in an argument with the chat or anything like that, okay? But like I'm just gonna say you can't be effective as one person. You need a friend. You need a coalition. You need people by your side. You need a power base. And right now, we ain't got it. We only got one or two people, 5 at most, that are willing to be able to stand up. And that still is not enough. We need more of us. And unfortunately, that's going to take a lot of time. Okay. Anyway, let's have some fun.
Mr. President, one more question about the inauguration. Thank you very much.
Anything on Bill Barr, sir?
Congratulations, sir. He's gone.
That was outgoing President Donald Trump leaving a Medal of Freedom recipient just kind of hanging. Slightly awkward, just a little bit. They started asking him questions and was like, nope, I'm just going to nope out. Like, I'm gone out. My guess, Donald Trump, not exactly in a people mood today or any day, or at least for the last month or so. Maybe it's because he is still fragile after his loss, or maybe he's still coming to grips to the fact with the fact that he can't keep avoiding his creditors, using his presidency as a shield. Because guess what? January 20th, that's over, gone. And what do I mean by that? You know, the guy has about $500 million in loans that are coming due, right? I mean, his businesses, even before COVID, by the way, have been hemorrhaging cash. He is not a rich person. He is deeply in debt. And the only reason that he's been able to survive is by funneling taxpayer money into his own businesses, by using his presidency to make money. Without that, Donald Trump is fucked. And so as a result, there have been reports that have come out. I shared one with you yesterday, where he has become slightly moody, depressed, and angry. Especially since, of course, all of his attempts to try to overturn the election, to hide from his creditors, have so far met with complete and utter embarrassing failure. And now today is the day where all of his court challenges are over. I mean, that's it. January 8th, you can't do any more court challenges for the election. It's basically over. Despite what, Rudy Giuliani and the rest of the crack legal team. That's a bit of a weird slip there, but nonetheless, his legal team are protesting that right now. Both of them have COVID. So good luck on that one from the hospital bed. Okay. Imagine Rudy Giuliani wheeling like his oxygen machine or something like that. If he's on oxygen, and he's leaking hair dye and farting everywhere. Oh my God. No, nope. It's over. We're done. We're done here. Okay. No more court challenges. Except that, of course, now Texas, the state of Texas, again, not related to Rudy Giuliani and what he's doing, but they're trying to sue the states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Wisconsin for actually being able to change their own election rules, which states' rights. There's that whole thing. Anyway, that said, the electors, they're not going to pick Donald Trump. We know that. He was trying to go and get victory through the state courts, and it didn't work. He lost. So Biden's going to get the 306 electoral votes that he has earned from this election. It's just what's going to happen. And so there's no way they're going to be able to stop that. That said, let's go to social media for some fun tweets here. One person says, he lost. He's not going to answer questions like he usually doesn't anyway. But I did like the look on his face this time. Shows that he knows that he's done. Oh, well. Another one says, all it's missing is Giuliani babbling with hair dye streaming down his face. Ivanka trying to sell us a polyester animal print blouse. And Jared Kushner looking like he's made of wax, to summarize the last 4 years. I love how specific that was. Another person says, narcissists walk off. They traumatize your important events. Whether you're graduating, receiving a medal, having a party, or getting married, they need to make it all about them. Hashtag sabotage. There's that. And then another person says, he has zero respect for the Medal of Freedom, which is what he was supposed to be giving that person anyway. It's a toy to him. Next week, he'll be wanting to give it to Putin. Seriously, though, after giving it to Limbaugh, we need to rename it or fumigate it or something. I forgot about that. Literally giving Rush Limbaugh the Medal of Freedom. Does this mean anything anymore? Seriously? No, it doesn't mean a damn thing. And then finally, one more here. Every single person with an emotionally abusive parent just had flashbacks to saying the wrong thing at dinner. Oh, it got real heavy there. Just a little bit. But look, I can imagine that the right thing to say with Trump is what Trump wants to hear. Could you imagine how easily he can be manipulated with compliments? And I mean, I've said this before, but of course, those compliments would only count from people who are richer, more powerful, and more famous than he is. And so, gee, could you think of how many people are like that have manipulated President Trump? Just saying. Something to think about. All right. Anyway, let's go to the billionaire bunker. I love this one. It appears that the first failed couple are looking to get out of Washington, D.C., following the loss, of course, their father's election to Joe Biden. Since they're not exactly welcome back in New York, though, with the Southern District of New York Attorney General Cyrus Vance Jr. heading up some investigations of their father and the Trump organization, Ivanka and Jared have decided to buy a little piece of property in Florida. So, again, it's away from New York, which, of course, New York doesn't exactly want them. And I'll show you some examples of that. But ahead of President Trump's exit from the White House, the couple is busy, according to the New York Post, making plans for life after D.C. And have viewed numerous properties and lots of land in the Miami and Palm Beach area. And page 6 reveals that Ivanka and Jared have splashed out on a $30 million plus lot of land on Miami's uber swanky and high security Indian Creek Island, also known as the Billionaire's Bunker. They're in the bunker. How ironic. The private, guarded and gated Indian Creek Island is also one of the most secure places in Florida, as it boasts a 13-man police force for just 29 residences, according to the New York Post. It measures 1.84 acres with 200 feet of private waterfront. Perfect for the couple, of course, who wants to get away from it all, mainly because everyone hates you. I mean, seriously, let me show you one of the flyers that went up in New York City after this whole thing. So let me go to that. Not wanted. Hey, there you go. Hexant fake posh. Eyes. Dead behind the eyes. Wow. Oh, wow. Married to Slender Man. I'm sure Slender Man is very upset about this, being compared to Jared Kushner like that. Doing him dirty. Doing the Slender Man dirty there. And it's not just that. It's also a billboard in Times Square. I'm sure you've already seen that before, but, you know, in case you need a refresher here, look at that. So there's Ivanka. This is back when only 224,000 Americans have died from coronavirus. Now, of course, it's much higher. We're at about 285,000 people who have died from COVID. Man. And then I know you can't really see that, but there is, of course, a alleged quote from Jared Kushner. And I'll get to that, but before I do, I also want to note that New York doesn't want them back because, again, if they did, well, then 84% of Manhattan voters wouldn't have voted for Biden in the election. They would have voted for Trump. So there you go. There's that. But let me get back to that quote here, because I think that's important, because it has to do with New York. According to a report in Vanity Fair, the president's son-in-law told some business leaders during a meeting, this was back in March, to discuss aid to the states, right? So now, these leaders were told by Kushner, the federal government is not going to lead the response. It's up to the states to figure out what they want to do. One attendee then reportedly pointed to a CNN article about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's calls for help with supplies, which Kushner dismissed as quote-unquote CNN bullshit. Kushner then reportedly went on to say, quote, Cuomo didn't pound the phones hard enough to get PPE for his state. His people are going to suffer, and that's their problem. Well, I'm glad he made the distinction of, well, that's his people, not your people, since you're supposed to be a native New Yorker and maybe, you know, supposed to care about your community, but you obviously don't. Oh, his people. And so, you know, that's their problem, not my problem. Screw you guys. I don't give a goddamn. That's who Jared Kushner is. Ivanka got herself in trouble as well, and claimed that, you know, workers didn't want guaranteed jobs or a higher minimum wage. That's not true at all. Look, higher minimum wage and jobs programs, those are actually pretty popular. So yeah, they do want those things. And then she goes on to talk about, of course, how, oh, people don't want to be given handouts or anything like that. And later adding that in the middle of the recession, of the depression caused by the pandemic, people should just go find something new if they lose their jobs. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Right. So there's a good reason why people in New York really don't like the Trump family. And you could say that's the same in a lot of blue states, at least, but they seem to be right at home in Florida. And so I love the irony of them going to an island nicknamed Billionaire's Bunker. There's just something about a Trump hiding in a bunker that just seems right. And by the way, what also seems right for us is that same island's probably going to be underwater by like 2100 or before. So, but until that happens, you know, it'd be a great idea. Build a wall around the island. Just build a great, big, beautiful wall around that island. And there you go. The Trumps get their wall. But instead of keeping, you know, decent people looking for a better life out, it would keep terrible, useless, rich people in. And I think that that would be a win, not just for New York, but for the entire country. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We've got some serious stuff, of course. We've got a raid on a whistleblower. That's horrible news. And then the Arizona Republicans want you to die for Trump. I'm not kidding. It's what they themselves have tweeted out. So we're going to talk about that. And we'll do that right after this break. So stay right here around the nation. We'll be right back.
It's like a Sharknado, except with poop.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show, Around the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. So, before we get back into the show, I've got a couple of super chats that I want to read. One here from Sarge Tech says, Donald Trump, go directly to jail. Do not pass Mar-a-Lago. Do not collect any pardons. Biden will have his hand in the Bible. On January 20th, it's over. That's over, but a new fight begins. Indeed. All right. And Adrian Benningfield says, I wonder who's paying for the funeral costs for the dead of COVID-19. That's not the government, but the families who are hurting already. You're absolutely correct. And so that is something that people don't think about. That is something that people do not talk about. But it is really important. Not only that, but there are people still being charged for treatment for coronavirus. That's why we need, I mean, this is one of the many different examples of why we need real universal health care, Medicare for all. Anyway, so thank you for those super chats. Very, very kind of you. Those, of course, go to help the show. With that, speaking of helping the show, I want to thank a couple of patrons who have signed up as well. I want to thank Echo the Cat and Ross Carson. So thank you for supporting independent progressive media. If you want to go and support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Let's go then to, of course, channel memberships. It's another way to support the show. And I want to thank 420 Wizard of Weed and Pamela Cassis. So thank you. Appreciate it. Again, all that goes to help the show, keep us on the air, keep us live, keep us healthy. All right. One more thing. Let's go over to Twitch. Thank you for thank you, Tris305239, for the sub yesterday. I don't know if I got a chance to thank you for that as well over on Twitch, but we're doing Twitch, so go help us out there as well. All right, let's move on. Enough of that. On Monday, Florida State Police raided the home of COVID-19 whistleblower Rebecca Jones. Now, Rebecca Jones was Florida's former COVID-19 dashboard chief analyst.
Amazing.
So what she did is she basically was tracking hospitalizations in the state as a result of coronavirus. And so she was tracking those official numbers and making sure that everybody knew what the official coronavirus count was in the state. Very important to know, especially, like I said, during a pandemic. So now apparently Republicans had a problem with that, Ron DeSantis specifically, because according to Jones, the Florida Department of Health had pressured her to strategically align COVID-19 case data with Florida's goal to reopen the state. Basically, put simply, they wanted her to fudge numbers. And as a result, of course, of fudging the numbers, that would be beneficial politically to both Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, who at the time was still running his campaign for president. Now, she, of course, refused, as any person of principle would, and they ended up firing her. According to state records, they indicate that Jones was fired for violating health department policy by making public remarks about the data. So by being a whistleblower about the data that they were trying to fudge and letting people know that, hey, the state just asked me to fudge the data in order to help DeSantis politically, they said, oh, I can't believe you would share that with people. Oh, I can't believe you'd share the data. That's it, you're fired. Jesus. So now, that wasn't the end of her, of course, and her efforts. So she's a committed data scientist, a committed hero, wanting to make sure that everybody got accurate information about what was going on in Florida. So she went on to create and maintain her own independent version of that tracker outside of the state. So that's outside of the state government's control. And again, they did not like that at all. The governor, Governor DeSantis, didn't want to continue to be embarrassed by this person. And so finally, he decided to send the goons after her, the thugs in uniform, to try to stop her. So now she tweeted this out yesterday. Quote, at 8:30 a.m. this morning, state police came to my house and took all of my hardware and tech. They were serving a warrant on my computer after DOH filed a complaint. They pointed a gun in my face. They pointed guns at my kids. So now there's video that goes along with this. It's a little disturbing. Take a look.
Come outside. Outside.
Who else is in the house, ma'am?
My 2 children and my husband.
Where's your husband at?
Calm down. Calm down.
You want the children now?
Call them all down.
Mr. Jones, come down the stairs. Now!
Police, come down now.
Search warrant.
Bring your
Come down the
children.
stairs.
My children!
Glenn, hang on. Let me clear the
He
house.
just pointed a gun at my children!
Jesus Christ. So there are more tweets of her describing what happened. Here's what she said. They took my phone and the computer I use every day to post case numbers in Florida and school cases for the entire country. So that's one of the new projects that she was doing as well, is she was making sure to track the coronavirus cases in schools. And so I know there's been a lot of a gigantic push for schools to reopen. They want schools to reopen, Republicans specifically, so that they can say, well, hey, look, schools are open, so I guess you're just going to have to go to work because, you know, I mean, we're not going to pay for childcare. No, you don't expect us to pay for childcare. We're the government. We just want to send you back to work so that our donors continue to make money. And that's what it's all about, of course. And those coronavirus tracking numbers for COVID cases in school, again, one of the big narratives that was pushed by Republicans is, kids are immune. They're not, and if they're not immune, they're not going to get sick. Okay, well, a lot of children, you're right, don't get sick. That doesn't mean they're not a vector of disease and can't spread it to other people. And so that's one of the reasons, unfortunately, that I think that schools should remain closed. And I know it's frustrating for a lot of parents, and I totally understand that. To homeschool your kids and also to work at home. Hey, you know what? I have a great idea. Why don't we pay people to not work during a pandemic? I mean, that would be a great idea, wouldn't it? I mean, just imagine if we had a government like every other government in the first world right now, which is paying people to stay home and not work by giving them sometimes up to 100% in some countries of what they would have made at their job through the government. Man, imagine if they would do that here in the richest country in the world. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Well, not here. Not in this country. No, of course not. Instead, they do this. They cover up the numbers. They try to fudge the numbers. And then when you go against that, they send the Gestapo after you. And that's what she said in one of her tweets. She said, they took the evidence of the corruption at the state level. They claimed it was about a security breach. This was DeSantis. He sent the Gestapo. Now the health department has alleged that she had, of course, hacked into the state emergency alert system. That's what they're saying. But again, remember, she went out there and publicly alleged that they wanted her to manipulate data for political reasons. So who's in the wrong here, right? Who do you believe? The people that are like, no, we want you to lie to fit a political agenda, or somebody is like, I just want people to be safe from coronavirus, and I'm just doing my job as a data analyst. So, no, you already know what I think. It's retaliation. She embarrassed the governor with facts and data and ruined their political advantage, right? And again, it's no surprise that they want to bury this. They want to bury the numbers because they don't care about you. They don't care about people's lives. They don't care about the citizens of Florida. It's all trying to go back to pretend that everything's normal so that business can open and workers can get back to work and they can start making money again. And that's it. and also, of course, to help Donald Trump politically. Now, that didn't happen. Donald Trump did not win the election, but he sure did win the state of Florida. Now, I do have to say that coronavirus, his response to it, Trump specifically, is one of the reasons that he didn't win this election. And it's also another reason why DeSantis is actually deeply unpopular in Florida now, because of his disastrous result, disastrous handling of the coronavirus and the resulting deaths in Florida that so far we're really not even able to track. And it's just absolutely disgusting. Now, if the real numbers were out there, again, it would expose the terrible job that DeSantis has done in trying to keep his state safe during the pandemic. And instead of actually owning up and trying to do his job like he's supposed to, he sends the jackbooted thugs. Whatever happened to, and again, freedom, right? Whatever happened to freedom? This is I love how Republicans are always liberals sending the jackbooted thugs, come take your freedom. That's exactly what you did. It's exactly what you did. You go after an enemy of the state. It's disgusting. Great job, guys. Oh, aiming guns at children, by the way. Great. Yeah, she could have thrown a flash drive at you or sent a nasty email your way. You got to have your gun to protect yourself against that. Fascists. Fascism 101. That's what that is. I mean, again, I shouldn't be surprised it's Florida. Let me tell you, defund the police. Okay, fucking ACAB, dude. If you're going to follow orders like that and point guns at children, no, fuck off. This is retaliation. That's what this is. And the good thing, though, is that she is not intimidated by this. And that just means that she is, of course, a very strong person. In fact, she said after this, you know what? No, I'm going to replace my laptop and I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to start, my website's back up. I'm going to get a new laptop and I'm going to start posting the numbers again tomorrow. And that's what that is. And so, look, it's funny because now we're relying on someone in Florida to do what the government is supposed to be doing, the state government, okay? And instead of helping and instead of doing their jobs, instead of reporting factual data, they're shutting people down. They're intimidating data analysts and they're menacing their families. This is what red state Republicans rule is all about. Okay. One more here. Speaking of Republicans. The Arizona Republican Party got some backlash on Tuesday after a couple of tweets encouraged Trump supporters to die for Trump in his efforts, of course, to overturn the election. Now, on Monday, the group retweeted a man named Ali Alexander. So now, Ali Alexander is one of the leaders of, quote-unquote, Stop the Steal. Okay? Now, that's ironic because that entire movement is actually trying to help the president do a soft coup. To perpetuate his own steal because he didn't win the election legitimately. And so he wanted the electors to literally overturn the results in the states. And of course, it's all based on conspiracy theories of voter fraud, electoral fraud, etc. And none of it has been substantiated. Nonetheless, the delusion continues. In fact, Alexander wrote in this tweet, "I am willing to give my life for this fight." Oh, I feel sorry for you. Oh, giving your life up for Donald Trump? The guy who doesn't give two shits about you, wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire? That guy? You die for that guy? What a sad, sad individual. Holy shit. And yet, the Arizona GOP Twitter account retweets that and says, "He is. Are you?" No! Nobody with a goddamn brain would do. And I'm not, look, and here's the thing, I wouldn't do that for any politician. Like, I'm sorry, like, I wouldn't die for Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie Sanders. God bless his heart. I'm not dying for him. I'm not dying for anybody. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. And so it's just, it's ridiculous because, and here's the thing, most people wouldn't do that because we're not cultists. Okay. We're not, oh, my great leader. Oh, great leader Pelosi. Oh, I would, no, don't care. Don't give a shit. Okay. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Most people aren't. Okay. And you know what? He wouldn't ask. You're absolutely right. Bernie Sanders would not ask somebody to die for him, but Donald Trump does all the time. I mean, in fact, he says, I could go shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I still wouldn't lose any followers. He's right. He could probably shoot one of his followers and still not lose any followers. Real conservative values. And if that wasn't clear enough, by the way, about an hour later, that same Twitter account, the Arizona GOP, it's the official Republican account for the Republican Party of Arizona. And this was pointed out by my friend Brianna Westbrook. The GOP tweeted a clip from the 2008 film Rambo, in which the character issues a call to action to soldiers, saying, "This is what we do, who we are, live for nothing or die for something." What, Trump's wrinkly old ass? That's what you die for? What? A wealthy New York fail son who was a reality TV show and then was a terrible, the worst president I've ever had in my lifetime. And I lived through George W. Bush. Okay? George W. Bush was better. And he was an absolute disaster than Donald Trump. Oh my God. No, this is totally an example of conservative values right there. I mean, you know, greed, narcissism, lack of humility, disdain for the poor and minorities. It's a perfect match for the current Republican Party. Anyway, now, there was backlash, as I mentioned, okay? And so the Arizona GOP realized that they went too far. And they deleted the Rambo tweet because they were worried about copyright. They left the other one up, though. Now, that's perfectly fine. In fact, Zachary Henry, spokesman for the Arizona GOP, cited concerns about copyright and fair use when asked about the removal of the Rambo tweet. Of course. Way to ignore that first one, where they were, again, literally asking if you would be willing to die for Trump. And somebody saying, oh, yes, I would. Oh, I absolutely would. He's willing to die for Trump, aren't you? You poor huddled masses who we don't give a fuck about, who we continue to extract everything from. The Republican Party only serves billionaires. And that's really it. That they're a money funneling scheme from the poor to the very rich. How people don't see and understand that, there's a lot of propaganda involved. There's a lot of propaganda involved. Holy shit. But like I said, okay, look, you might think, dude, it's just a tweet. You're freaking out too much. Normally, I would agree with you. Okay, normally, in a normal time, say 2015, like, are you willing to die for Mitt Romney? Be like, that's a little weird, but okay, I'm not really worried about that. It's not like they're really saying that they would die for Mitt fucking Romney. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah, imagine that, right? That was their standard bearer back in 2012. Like, oh, Mitt Romney. Of course, you'd never see people like Romney 2012, like in the comment section of your video, my videos, right? Not like you would see with Donald Trump. So that is it is a cult mentality that is going on here. And that's what's got people worried because, again, you know, if you do something like that, like back in 2012, you think, okay, maybe you're just being a bit hyperbolic, right? A little bit of hyperbolic rhetoric. That's fine. It's politics. It's full of hyperbolic rhetoric. But it's different now. Things are way different. We do not live in normal times. We are not dealing with a normal Republican Party. They're not a conservative party. They're a reactionary cult filled with brainwashed people that listen to alternative facts. And that's what's going on here. We have militias and right-wingers that are calling for violent attacks against Democrats and liberals. Now, I understand that they're the fringe, right? And that, you know, most likely we're not going to see any sort of widespread violence, and that's good. But those people do exist. We had the governor of Michigan almost get kidnapped and executed as a result of Donald Trump basically saying, oh, look, mask mandate, free Michigan, free Michigan. We also had people pointing pointing guns at unarmed Black Lives Matter protesters, the McCloskeys. You remember those people? Look, we have a situation. We have a country right now where we have political divisions that are at record highs. So yeah, when somebody on the right, who, you know, again, because their rhetoric has devolved into a lot of violent type of rhetoric. And it's been bad, but it's gotten worse over the years, especially during the Trump administration. And so when somebody says stuff like this, who, you know, believes in demonstrably false things and is supporting a soft coup in the courts, which is what the Stop the Steal thing was all about, or, you know, baseless conspiracy theories, when they start talking about how they're ready to die for Trump, I get super concerned. More so than you know that I want to be, but it again, very concerned. And to that end, by the way, the Arizona GOP did not respond to a request for comment about what they meant when it asked if people were willing to give their lives for Stop the Steal, and whether the pair of tweets could be viewed as encouraging violence. And I'm sorry, I said the Arizona GOP, I meant Stop the Steal, that specific group. That makes people even more concerned. For example, Philadelphia Inquirer opinion columnist Will Bunch, here's what he tweeted. If some random Yahoo in Arizona kills somebody in the name of Trump staying in office, will Arizona's GOP chair Kelly Ward be charged as an accessory? That's a good question. And then, look, more recently, well, not more recently, but last week, you had a Georgia Republican official, Gabriel Sterling, who has received threats. He's a Republican. He's been threatened by Republicans for certifying the election results. Okay. And he was imploring President Trump to come out and say, or to come out and, quote, stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to get killed. And it's not right. This guy knows his side more than anybody. Okay, he understands the danger that the Trump cult, that they represent. And again, the extremist part of this, group of people are the dangerous ones. And so they're the ones that you have to worry about. And you know what's funny too, right? Here's the thing about conservative ideology that really kind of just gets me, right? The lack of accountability for the community. Okay, all the focus is on personal responsibility, right? So now that focus actually allows you to be able to ignore the responsibility to others in the nation at large. Okay, and so, like, I'll tell you what's going to happen if some Yahoo goes and attacks somebody for, voter fraud. Okay, the same Republicans who are asking you if you would be willing to die for Trump would look at that and be like, "Oh, lone wolf. That's a lone wolf. Crazy person. Had nothing to do with that. Terrible thing that happened. Oh, whoa, wow. Terrible. Personal responsibility. I can't believe somebody would do something like that after we egged them on. I mean, I can't believe you liberals are always blaming other people for your problems. And personal responsibility. We take personal responsibility for everything we do. Except that, when we egg people on to the point of actually picking up a gun and doing some violence against somebody else, we had nothing to do with that whatsoever. Oh, what are you talking about? Words don't influence people. Oh, no, nobody's influenced by anyone else ever. Ever. Nobody ever influences anyone else to do other things. I mean, you know, all that stuff that we pump into your head about liberals not being patriotic. They hate America. Obama hates America. Oh, they hate you. They hate the country. They're gonna come get you. They're gonna take your stuff. They're gonna break into your house. They're gonna rape your wife. They're gonna kill you, and they're gonna do all this terrible stuff to you. And then when somebody grabs a gun and says, oh my God, I don't want that to happen. Oh, I don't want the Antifa to break into my house and the Black Lives Matter to kill me and my wife. Oh my God. And they grab their gun, they do something. Well, that same group that pushes all this bullshit, this is, I can't believe anything like that would happen. Wow, we completely, I didn't see that one coming. Must have been a lone wolf. Crazy person. And more often than not, too, there are people that try to dig up the past of that person and be like, I can't believe that liberal. Can't believe that liberal would do something like that. Crazy. We got to do something about the left. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. I mean, just go and even look on conservative Twitter, or I guess it would be Parler now, and you would see that after every shooting by a right-wing individual, you got people going in and you know, digging up and saying, oh, look at that, he must be a Democrat, when it's obvious that they're not. That they are just rooted and mired in conservative, and not even conservative, in Republican Party ideology, the extreme fringe right. I mean, that's what we're facing here. Okay, there's griftiness, and then there's no self-awareness as well. But that's like the great, you know, it's sort of the great get out of responsibility free card that they always give themselves and always seem to get away with somehow. But that's unfortunately the situation that we're in and what we face with the modern Republican Party, the party of Donald Trump. Okay. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please like, share the stream if you haven't already. Thank you, by the way, John's Venn diagram of desire, for giving up those gifted subs. Super, super kind of you to help out the channel in such a way. That's amazing. That's amazing. So there's, what is it? 2 gifted subs today. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Also, thanks to everybody who's become a patron, who, you know, shares the videos, becomes a channel member, all that wonderful stuff. Thank you so much. We will see you on Thursday, where I will be joined by the Surfs. So that should be a lot of fun. It's a real fun show. First time I've, you know, had a co-host with that particular person. Tune in. It's going to be great. All right, everybody. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. Have a good one.
I have not loved this conversation.
Give me a break.
Bernicia, they say, pronounce it Bernicia, a real beautiful company. Mike Pounds.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Please clap.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.